The second area where I am a risk to my own goals is this universally common area known as procrastination. And we'll finish talking about this another time. Just kidding, that was a terrible joke. So in the links below, I've provided, there's this video. It's my favorite. It's a TED Talk. It's like my favorite video on the internet on procrastination. You may have seen it before, but it is brilliant. And you may pause and go to that and go through it and live through the hilarity and the insights that it provides. It's pretty fantastic. And one of my favorite lines in it, "It has always been my dream to have given a TED Talk." And isn't that so true about our lives, is that we want to say that we've done things. We don't actually want to do them. One of the ways that this video and the series on studying procrastination has helped me is identifying these three characters in my brain: the rational decision maker, the instant gratification monkey, and the panic monster. And I can feel each one of those now and kind of have a very silly name to attach to each one of those. But as we recognize them and we're cognizant of them, they become a lot easier to, I found that it becomes easier to deal with. That doesn't mean I'm dealing with them perfectly, but I'm able to deal with them a lot better by being able to name them, perhaps name them in a hilarious way. But what I would encourage as far as you're discussing your goals and the risks to your goals in Project 1 is to recognize when are times that procrastination has gotten in the way of you achieving your goals, and can you identify kind of these three different characters, or these three different kind of base impulses, I guess, that have been fighting within your head. And one of the biggest takeaways from the talk for me is recognizing situations where there are no deadlines. If there's no deadline, that means there's no panic monster to show up and whip you into shape, which means long-term procrastination means something could never get done. Something that you want to accomplish during your life just could never get done. And there are different ways of dealing with that in our lives, and I have not come up with a silver bullet solution. I do like his approach, his method, Tim's method of reminding him of how to deal with long-term goals and how to stop procrastinating and achieving long-term goals, is that he's created this life calendar, or there's these different ways to remind us in our lives that, you know, life is short and there are certain priorities, and we need to recognize what's important now so we can achieve what we're striving to achieve within the time we have. And that's, as far as takeaways that have influenced my life and would recommend to others, that's one of the takeaways that I loved from that talk. Finally, there's this article from Harvard Business Review. It was pretty popular a few years ago on procrastination. And the reason why people found it popular was that these are three different tools, three different approaches that people take, and they actually work in dealing with procrastination. So besides just making a life calendar, what are these three tools that you can use? One is adopting either promotion focus and sometimes using prevention focus. You know, if promotion focus isn't working, well, if we just focus on prevention focus, on the bad things that are going to happen if we don't do it, maybe that will light the fire under us sufficiently in order to get moving on it. Now, that might not be the best approach all the time, because we don't want to get into self-defeating or kind of circular negative behavior, negative self-talk. But it is something that can work occasionally to get us moving, at least initially, especially when it's something that we don't want to do. Like me creating these videos, because I hate listening to my own voice, so I always dread recording myself. Anyway, and so I use prevention focus to actually start moving and start recording all of these videos. The second approach is just, you know, you just put your feelings in the back and you just push through. So go Spock mode, as I like to call it. And the third I've found really useful, which is if-then programming. So when this occurs, if this occurs, I am for sure going to do Y behavior. Now, making the pre-commitment to yourself and sometimes rewarding yourself when you fulfill that is something that works quite effectively. I've seen that work for a number of people. For example, there's a reminder in their phones that when that reminder goes off, that is the moment when they do that thing that they know is super, super important, that should take priority. And it's that phone reminder to tell them, this is what you need to be doing right now. This is the priority. So those are 3 different approaches that people have found especially helpful, which is why that article was so popular at the time. So I know this section probably wasn't super long as far as content and videos and such, but hopefully I've pointed you in enough directions so that you can start getting moving on your project 1 and really have an idea of what direction to take, or at least what general direction to take, and start debating those different values. Also wanted to remind you, project 6 should be humming along as far as for month 1. And so you should have created your budgets and selected those 3 categories and start tracking that, and pretty much immediately. So diving into that and making it work. And so if you are wondering what is it that we're doing for project 1, you can always go back to section 1-2, and you can do a quick refresher on project 1 as far as what's expected of what you need to achieve. And that's it.